I'm not afraid of offending anybody, so yeah, I don't care. I think it's rad.
You are deliberately forgetting who you really are. You are deliberately forgetting who you really are.
So what's been going on, boys? How you guys feeling?
Same shit,
Good
dude.
tonight.
See, I feel actually really good tonight.
Yeah.
Paul, why you got a headache, buddy?
Man, I just getting home from work, and then I'm sitting here, and I'm like, it's time to start this thing up. And we're like, where's Tony at? And he sends us a picture, sends us a picture of him fixing his car or something. I don't know what's
Doing
going on
fucking
now.
Bondo.
Your head just
You
started
know?
pounding.
And
right
head's
then,
like,
huh?
I bet he's got to run in and take a shower. He's probably got to do all this stuff. So
I know Tony. I know he's a slow shower.
head was busting your balls.
Too good.
Dude, I took a fast shower just for you.
Paul, Tony did come with
That's
Tony
funny,
did
though.
come with the drum solo this week, though.
Right?
I know. I did see the drum solo. At first, I couldn't view it, and then I was like, I got to see this thing. And so he resent it. You're killing it, man. You're killing it. I was
fun.
super impressed. I haven't gotten a chance to really sit down and fiddle around longer than 15 or 20 minutes at a time. So what that means? That the challenge is out.
And if you'd like, man, the challenge is out.
My dancing in my underwear wasn't enough. That wasn't enough for head.
I would say it was pretty even with my skills on the drums so far, but I was hoping you'd one up me.
No, man, I was super impressed. You were just sitting there, just kind of rocking that groove and stuff, and yeah, I was blown away. I love those electric drums. Didn't we have a set of electric drums? Like, kind of, I think right when I got married, I bought a cheap pair. Remember when they first came out, a cheap kit, like those old Roland ones, Tony, where they didn't even have like any bounce. It was like hitting like a rubber.
They still make.
Do you
those.
remember those first style? Do they still make those?
Yeah, they do still make them. They're super cheap these days. I mean, $200-$300 you can grab one of those.
Yeah. Those used to be thousands of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
That would be like $3,500. It was more. It was like 3 times the price of like a nice drum kit that you
Definitely.
could get.
Well,
A regular
I remember
acoustic
the Roland
kit.
kits, the V drums with the mesh heads when they first came out with them. I
Yes,
always wanted
those
one, but
is when
thousands and thousands of dollars they wanted for those. So I picked
Those
up
are
this
those
kit.
are kind of where like those are where like the actual hi-hat would go up and down with
Yeah.
those V drum kits.
Yeah, which they still
Remember
make.
that? That was
Yeah.
kind of like the game changer.
Man, they've got some electric kits now that are pretty rad, man. They're pretty point on when you see them in there. I mean, the cymbals are real. They've got real tones. You can mute the cymbals. I mean, it's pretty interesting what they're doing with the drums these days and how cheap they've gotten. I mean, this mesh kit cost me, I think, $400.
That's cool.
And then with the speaker and stand for it and everything, I was at like $500 total.
Yeah, that's cool.
So I mean,
Yeah, and what's cool is I'm sure you could probably run it straight into a computer and do
yeah.
MIDI stuff where you could have any
you can
sounds
run it
you
straight
wanted.
into my Mac and right
know.
into GarageBand.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Literally with one
that's
wire.
so cool, and that's
Boys, what are we drinking tonight? Before you
And that's
guys
the
get
problem
talking
right now,
about drums
Head.
For too long.
we're getting it. We got going on
No, I'm
drums.
saying, what are we drinking? Tony's
Got some
Tony's got
Modelo,
his
man.
Modelo's. Paul, are you drinking or are you
And then
sick?
I got my
I
tequila shot.
have beer as well, just beer tonight. I only had one beer left.
I bought one of the big handles of the cheap Irish whiskey from Kirkland. So I'm drinking the wannabe Jameson.
So you just got to put it in a fancier bottle.
How's it been tasting? You're gonna do a shot?
Yeah, shot.
That was vomited.
I got my Lauren and John shot glass as always, full of tequila.
Me too.
There he goes.
So what's been going on? Guess what I did today?
All right.
What'd you do, man?
Gave
What?
myself a COVID test. So
Uh-oh.
the
Because you had to.
So I was required by my by one of my jobs that I have right now to we got to do regular COVID testing. So so I drive down to the place, and I walk up, and of course they're like, "What's this guy doing here? This is just for these kinds of people, You know, but I was in the right spot. I do my thing, get in there. I walk in, they're like, all right, here, you know, they do all the paperwork and give you a little tube that you're going to put your little test Q-tip in. And I walk into the little testing area where people are putting the Q-tips up their nose. So I guess that's how, I don't know if that's right or wrong, but I guess that's how this place is doing it. So basically they give you the Q-tip swab by the handle and basically watch you insert it up into your nose and then swivel it around and then switch sides, do the same thing. I walk in and like one lady's sneezing. The other lady that's there is like literally crying. Her eyes are all teared up and red. Her face is all fucking bloated. I get up there. I was like, oh, I'm going to show him how it's done. I grab that Q-tip and I shove it so far up in there. She's like, oh, no. You don't have to go up that far. She's like, back it down a little bit. The whole time I'm just like staring at her right in her face, locking eyes, making sure I wasn't tearing up at all. And I was just swabbed that thing around. Then I like brought it out. It was like full of mucus and boogers. And it was so disgusting. But, yeah.
And so they didn't do the swab for you? You just did it yourself?
So they give you the way it was set up is there's two different rooms. You go into one room, you do the paperwork, you check in more or less. They give you a tube that's registered to your name, you know, and they check it like 8 times. And then, you walk into another room. The nurse opens up a swab for you. The person grabs the swab by the end of the applicator, take care of business, and then they put it down in the little tube that you brought in, and then they break the end off that you were touching. So basically it's, you know, as clean as if they were doing it.
I think that's how they're doing it.
People have a little bit more control of like not stabbing themselves in the nose or up in the brain, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but don't you have to get it up there so far? I guess that's what I'm saying. Are they watching you?
They're definitely watching, but I think I was like the opposite of the normal person, you know, because everybody like that I've seen ever do those, they like complain and bitch and cry, and then they sneeze for a little bit, and they're like, that one was pretty bad. That one was pretty bad. So of course I just had to go for it, you know. I was like, let me show her how it's done, you know. I just shoved that thing up in there, got it done. Yeah, so we'll see how it goes. I feel great, but
I think that's how they're doing it these days. Tots, my girl, she's had a couple of them because she went in and out, and it's the same thing. She grabs the cotton swab, sticks it up her nose, pulls it back out, flips it around, does the other side, passes it back to him. Yeah, and that was it.
Really weird because I do remember seeing a bunch of people getting it done, and somebody was always doing it for them. So I wonder, like,
think that was in the
changed.
beginning, and I think that they've evolved it a tiny bit.
Yeah, I think they have some home ones now.
Yeah, they
that
definitely
ships
do.
to your home, and you can kind of do yourself, which I'm assuming is the same thing. But yeah, I know. I don't know if I could stick it up there myself. I think I'd rather just someone jab it up there real quick.
It's
like ripping a Band-Aid off. Just do it for me.
easier.
You know what I mean? Just rip it off real quick.
The COVID vaccination. So they're coming up with a vaccination, or supposedly coming out with a vaccination soon. Will you guys get the vaccination if they come out with it?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's a tough one, man.
I think I think I would have to for work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I think it's going to start being one of those things where you want to be hired, right? And you've got to do like a closed set, you know, for what I do, and you're around a bunch of people, right? They're going to probably require something like that, or go get a test. And at that point, if you got to get one of those things jammed up your nose, you might as well get a shot. You know?
Do you guys get the flu shot or vaccinations?
I don't usually. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I don't. I try to stay away from as much of what I can. You know, but
Same.
if I have a super bad headache, I'm gonna take a couple Tylenol. I'm a baby.
That's true. That's true.
Paul, so like kind of like on what you were saying, like where you have to work and there might be like a mandated type of thing. I think that's where a lot of people are getting the most nervous about this, is they came up this within a year, obviously, or this specific strain, within a year, to cure it or to deal with it. Obviously, they don't know all the repercussions and what could happen. And I think a lot of people are worried about even working, like me in a grocery store. Like you said, there might be a requirement that you have to get the vaccine to come back to work. And
that's
that
kinda
is
scary.
a little nerve-wracking because obviously if you don't know, what could happen, or 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, it is a little it's a little nerve-wracking for people for it being the cure, I guess.
Yeah, that's the bigger thing I've definitely heard is people are scared of the long term because obviously we have no idea what the long term effect of it can be at this point.
Oh, I completely agree, and that's where I have the luxury. Like, am I going to run out and get it right away? No. I mean, I have the luxury to take the jobs I want to take right now, and not
I'll let
have
some
to
other
be.
people try it first.
Yeah, like, not have to be pressured. But yeah, you're right. I mean, even that though, the problem with it is you're right. Like, okay, so say you wait like 2 or 3 months, right? And you see kind of what's happening. And obviously if a bunch of people aren't dying within the first 2 or 3 months, it's probably okay on that side. But like Tony said, what happens 10 years down the road, right? That's more, that's probably the scarier part, is you could probably wait it out. Shit, you could probably even wait a year, right? And probably just chill and, stay protected and do what we're doing now.
It's such a rushed product, you know what I mean? It's not
Yeah,
something
yeah.
they've been able to stop and take their time.
But,
it's like rush. Now there's battle between companies trying to come out with the first vaccination, and it's scary.
Who's going to make the money?
How do you...
Exactly.
How
Where
do
your
you
money?
not take it though after say a year right, and then you have, like you said, you have to get back to things. How do you not take it? I don't know. That's kind of one of those of just the people that just live off the grid, and they live out in the middle of nowhere and stuff like those people don't have any of that to worry about. I kind of envy that
in a sense of what you're thinking about too, because it's like they're going to require you possibly to have a
Yeah.
vaccination
Oh, yeah.
for your job. Has that ever happened before? Have we ever?
And
had
I
to
don't
have
know. I don't know
vaccinations?
if they'll require you necessarily, but yes, it might become one of those things. Kind
That's
of
crazy.
like for instance, I wanted to go down and get my dog a simple haircut at PetSmart, but dude, those people are just straight up sticklers when it comes to like my rabies thing on my dog. I think was like 13 days past. they would not let the dog come down there. You know what I'm saying? So we
Right.
kind of already live in a world of like kind of some of that stuff, where I'm kind of like, I guess I'm shaving my dog myself, until I get her back down, but yeah, dude, isn't that kind of crazy, right? You're right, and I don't know if it'll necessarily be, people requiring it, but I think you're right. I think it may be the difference of getting a job probably over somebody else one day,
I could see in your work in particular though too, because you're more freelance, so it's people are hiring you to do something, so they're an individual company. They could be like, nope, you got to do this. Whereas where Hedrick works someplace for a corporation, I can almost see it harder for them being like, okay, everybody that works here has to go and get a vaccination. Like, that sounds crazy.
Oh, I don't know, man. I almost want to say it's the opposite. Because Tony, you got to understand, dude, I'm in the place where like I don't have to worry about like thousands of other people losing their job when I kind of give these places the middle finger. You know what I'm saying? Dude, I say no a lot. I've learned to say no. And so like I say no a lot. And so what I'm saying is I think it's more the opposite, where you get these big organizations. The problem with it is they'll just hire some other kid that'll take it. That'll take the shot. Right? That's the sad part. I mean, but you're right, man. I don't know. What do you think about that, Head? I mean, what would you do? Would you get it or not? I guess.
I would call you a modern day hero.
What do you mean? What does that mean?
For saying no. For saying no,
Yeah,
and
dude,
saving lives.
I say no. On that Pearl Jam documentary, after they made a fool of themselves because they never got a day off, and they realized the corporations would just keep asking, "Oh, we got one more thing for you to play, right?" And they never did. And they got drunk one night and were screaming at people, and they said that was the birth of no. That's when as a band we learned there was always going to be one more thing. But so Head, going back to, I mean, what would you? You're the one that's working there. Would you take it if they said you got to take it or you got to go?
All right, so you know me, man. I'm not too nervous about anything going bad. If
Yeah.
I'm going to get some weird kind of cancer, it's probably going to be from the stuff I do or the smoke that I inhale or the vape juice.
The stuff you
right?
did
know
that
what I
you
mean?
already
Like,
knew was going to give it to you.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I'm already going downhill, But I don't know. I could see why people are nervous about it, but I'll be completely honest with you. I think people are almost like even more nervous because of, who's in charge at the moment. There was words at one time or speculation that there was going to be, that somebody wanted it to be called the Trump vaccine or something like that. I don't know. You know what I mean? When you start putting that kind of stuff on it and like people already like hating what's going on right now, it's like now you have like the total reason and cause for people to start speculating and making stuff up. But I listen to Dr. Drew all the time, and I guess he's already signed up for like basically the soonest phase into the vaccine that they're going to be giving out as like a test subject and as a medical doctor, and just because he wants it. So, I'm not saying like Dr. Drew knows everything, but like, I don't know. If doctors are like, oh, I want the vaccine, I'll probably get the vaccine and not be the one complaining. I'll be like, yeah, just give it to me. I'll deal with it later.
Yeah, no, it's a hard one, but I think you could say that with anything, like when you go down, like you said, if you even want to go down and get the flu shot, right? I mean, I don't know if that's what's pumping into your body, you don't know that.
I was at the doctor the other day, actually.
Yeah.
And they asked me, they said, oh, you haven't had a flu shot in a while. Do you want to get a flu shot? Yeah. And I looked at her and said, no, I don't really do those things.
Yeah.
She definitely had a little bit of look of surprise on her, but it was just, she didn't argue with me. It didn't seem like it was something she hadn't heard before, Yeah, no,
and I think they're trying to push it, yeah. Yeah.
The real question is, so what if they said, all right, your kids are coming back to school, your kids have to have the vaccine before they come back into the class. Question. What about then? Because obviously, you'll be like, all right, if I get cancer in 20 years.
you've got to understand. I think, dude. So my kids are still home. My kids have never been back to school yet, still. And so
I guess I'm saying, even if it's not necessarily your specific kids, what if your kids were in a position, if they were in a public school, or you know what I mean, and that was a stipulation, would you be gung ho about it, or would you look into it? But like, would it even be worth looking into? Is like people just gonna keep their kids out of school because they don't want to get them vaccinated?
Well, I mean, they kind of already do now, dude. I mean, you have to, there's some things you're supposed to have done, and have certain vaccinations done for like certain sports and certain things your kids are involved in. So you kind of have to, but I mean, I don't know, man. The school place right now that I'm going through, and the stuff we're going through is just, there's just no plan of attack. So like, it's getting really bad right now. They're sending out all these letters. They're having to quarantine all the classes and stuff, so I don't know, man.
This one's a little bit different, though, too. I mean, when they say, okay, your kid's going to play football, he's got to get a flu vaccination, it's like, okay, they've been around for years and years and years, not as scared.
Yeah.
But if they did, I mean, in this situation, it's probably a hard one for you to answer, but if they came at you and said, your kid has to get this corona vaccination before he can come back to school, do you do it, or do you
I just look at it as, I think if we had it by then, because like, I mean, my kids aren't going back to school this year. We've already accepted that fact. You know what I'm saying? So, but next August, right? August, of 2021, right? Like, yeah, I probably would give my kid a vaccine to send him back to school, because I would imagine by then I would have had it. You know what I mean? Right. And, you're probably going to have to, man. Now that you mention it, those are what probably every school is probably going to make you do.
That's a trip.
Yeah,
that's probably going to be a.
I feel like it's a better way of looking at it, because for yourself, it's easier to say, fuck it, But
I
notice anybody that I know that has kids, when it comes to their kids, it's always so
story,
different. Yeah. It's like, no, that's my kid. You don't fuck with my kid.
I was saying, you know what I mean? Like, Paul's on, you're 45, right?
No, not 45. My God, 42. 42.
Oh, I thought you were like 45. I thought you were like
My
7
goodness.
years older than me.
What a dick.
My goodness.
I thought you were like old as shit.
Trying to
but yeah, it's different with like somebody in their 40s versus somebody who's 4.
Oh yeah.
And,
yeah.
And
No.
the lasting effects, of what it could potentially
Dude,
do. But once again, I guess if
yeah.
every kid in a public school has had the vaccine, I guess it's like if we're going down together. We'll all
Dude,
have the
what
same
what
shit in 30
what
years.
what I'm
Maybe,
what
like-
I'm not afraid of, Mike. I'll be honest with you. I'm not afraid of my kids getting sick. I'll be honest with you. I'm afraid of older people that come around my kids and then my kids get them sick and they die. You know what I'm saying? And people that are close to them and people they know, and then they have to feel responsible like they killed someone. You know what I mean? And we have a friend, I think we spoke a little bit about that, Head, that we had someone, the grandpa died, and they think it came from the grandkids.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm
crazy.
saying? And so, my kids don't need to be having that crap in their life, where they're getting people sick and so that's what I'm saying. I'm not afraid that they're going to get sick. So I would give them a vaccine. I mean, next year, Tony, August next year, probably. If it comes out here. So when's it supposed to come out here? In the spring?
They
soon?
don't really know yet. To my knowledge, at least, I haven't heard this is when it's going to happen date. I just know it's becoming they've had some trials with it. They're having some success with it, so they're hoping to push it soon.
Yeah.
But I
So
couldn't tell you
that'd
date.
be a year. That'd be a year and a half. So yeah, I would.
I'd
definitely
say let the other kids have it first. Give them
Yeah.
a year.
Yeah,
And if they're all right,
exactly.
then give it to your kids.
We'll see.
You already
We'll
learned you can
see.
homeschool for a year, so.
We'll see. I bet come whatever podcast number we're on in March, we'll all have had it. We'll all have taken it. We'll be ready to get out of this house. Hawaii, Tony. I think Hawaii has the very least amount of cases. It's like it's the
low,
only
man.
state that's trending
We're
downwards.
Like 2.2% or something like that of tests.
It's like
Because they turned me down of coming over.
They
and
say if
visiting
it gets
my friend.
above 5%, they'll put us back on a lockdown. But as long as it stays under
Yeah.
5%, and right now, it keeps on dropping. It's gone from
I
2.8
just
to,
mean you guys
2.2.
are the only one going down, like the right way, the right
Mm-hmm.
trend. You guys are I think the only state going the right direction.
It's a
They
little
fucking
easier
locked it
though on
down.
an island, though, right?
Well,
they
I don't
locked
know.
it down. They didn't let anybody come here. You know what I mean?
what
So
I'm
we had
saying.
almost
When you-
4
when you have
months
the
of nobody
benefit.
being allowed to travel here, unless they quarantine for 2 weeks. Whereas over there on the mainland, I mean, you've got people can go everywhere. It's like, oh, you got to quarantine. Fuck you, I'm going to Arizona. Fuck you, I'm going to California. They can't stop you. You can't come to Hawaii. Like, you want to come to Hawaii? Cool. Stick a little swab up your nose. Within 72 hours, if it's
Yeah.
clean, you can come. And that's still the rule. So you have to have a clean COVID test when you show up here in order to not quarantine. If you show up without a COVID test, you have to quarantine.
It's crazy.
So,
crazy.
yeah, it's definitely, I mean, again, it's killed the fuck out of our economy, but, we've got a low ratio over here, So we're definitely
Yeah.
not, people aren't dying. I was in the ER the other day, and I'll tell you what, that hospital was fucking empty. Empty.
Huh.
There was nobody in there. Maybe a COVID patient someplace in the West Wing, but there was
Wow.
nobody in there anyways. People are scared to
Huh.
go to the hospital, So whereas you might have people going in there for other things regardless, nobody's wanting to go to the hospital. And then with
No,
our
yeah.
low counts out here of COVID, again, the hospital's fucking empty, man. There's 2 ladies sitting out front checking temperatures and asking questions, and they wrap you up and change your mask if they don't like what you're wearing and send you in. And
Huh.
now, I love all the precautions. I think it's great, but I do love it when I'm sitting there in the room, and then you got the doctor that's going from place to place to place with the same gloves on, and then I look over at the glove bin where all the things are on the wall, where there's all the different gloves, and right above it is a biohazard bin that's touching the glove bin, and the bio bin has blood that's dripping down the front of it.
Oh.
It's awesome. Yeah. I think they're taking all the precautions that they can. I don't know. It is one of those things where you see it and you're like, oh, they're trying really hard, but sometimes you see where it's almost like all the effort they're putting into it. I don't know what it is or isn't doing, But our counts are low out here, so I guess they're doing something right,
Wearing
Yeah,
the
because
same
you got
gloves.
you got hospitals in like Green Bay and stuff where they're having to make like portable like units out front to like stack the bodies and stuff, refrigeration units and shit, So that's crazy. It's just a night and day difference.
Yeah, I don't see a lot of that, and it's just because I do stay off of social media these days. I stay off the news these days, so pretty much what I hear comes to me from people that I know. And the only place I've heard of, I mean, California, obviously, it seems like they keep on locking shit down, and they got curfews now, and it sounds crazy to the point where people I know are leaving California. Family members, even, they're leaving out of California. They don't want to live there anymore.
Yeah.
And then I got some friends over in Italy, where they keep on getting locked down, and Italy's gotten hit hard again recently. So they've locked everything back down. You can't travel in Europe anymore. It's really crazy, the back and forth, man. Again, over here it seems kind of like every other day, except for tourism's been gone for the last year. But Yeah, we'll
It's
see when
hey,
it
listen,
actually opens
it
back
was
up.
it, you know, it was told it would happen, you know, and here it is. We're back there again, you know. They said the fall,
Yeah.
and we're here at the fall.
They said
We're
2
doing it
weeks. They
again.
said 2 months. They said 6 months. Yeah, now we're at like 9 months. I
I
don't
just
think that this shit's gonna be done for a few
Yeah.
years, man. To be
Yeah.
totally honest, we got a few years of this bullshit.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, you know.
You know what I've been doing to fight off COVID?
What is that?
I've been drinking day-old beers. If I fall asleep and I'm drinking a beer and I leave it on my bedstand the next day, when I wake up and I'm like playing video games or something, before I go crack a new beer, I'll drink my old beer.
So warm beer.
Yeah.
Warm beer is the
day-old
answer to
beer.
COVID.
Yeah.
I thought you
Warm
meant
beer
day
and
old
lots of
beers as
refill.
in like they just lasted one day in the fridge and that was it. And then they
Oh,
were
no.
gone. They were goners. They only lasted one day. Goners.
No, these are beers I started at night and finished in the morning.
Do you just
It
do you
works out
forget?
all
Do you
right with-
forget? Yeah. Do you like pop one and then you'll sit it down and you'll forget and grab another one, or you're like, where did I put that thing?
Or I'll just have one next to me, like on
Yeah.
the bedstand. I'm like, oh, I'm not even tired yet, and I'll,
Fall
have a nice
asleep.
full beer, sit
Yeah.
down in the bed, throw on a show, and then all of a sudden, I'm snoozing away. Next morning, I'm like, full beer. What the hell? So I'll start sipping on it slowly.
I gotta admit, man, I'm guilty of doing that, but with milk. I know that
that's
might
so
be kind of
disgusting.
gross, but yeah, I've definitely fallen asleep at night with like a full glass of milk, eating some cookies or something like that, and woke up like 5 or 6 hours later, and I'm like, fucking not gonna waste the milk, man. Drink it. Toss thinks I'm gross. Yeah, gross
Yeah.
is a wrap.
That's pretty gross. I think you're gross
Dude.
too.
I don't even. I don't even like drink. I would never even just drink a cup of milk by itself, even if it was cold. So like
Oh, I
that would be
love
just the
milk.
ultimate disgusting nonsense.
Never
That'd be
broken
like
a bone in my fucking body.
it'd be like drinking a cup of vomit or something.
Warm milk's kind of like that. You know, you get it all down, and then you realize your mouth's coated in like a little bit of cheese, and it's kind of gross. But,
I-
but not wasteful.
Knock on wood as well. I've never broken anything. Head is the crazy one.
I
Tony,
drink
has he
milk.
did
I've broke a couple bones.
did he ever tell you, Tony, that one time when he was younger and he was on the skateboard and he was doing the skateboard where you put your knee down on it and you kind of push with your one foot, and then I think it was Keith, maybe, now that I think about it. But I think and Keith threw a croquet racket kind of like right in the way of the wheels, and made
Oh,
him
shit.
completely, biff forward. And he landed right on his arm. And when he came up, he was like, this arm doesn't look right. And, I mean, he held it out, and it was just, like, dangling straight down, like at a 45. You know what I mean? Like, it was just, like, weird and limp and disgusting looking. And he wasn't even in shock or pain. Or, I mean, he was just like, this doesn't look right. And I'm like, dude, that's not right. Like, and so we ran and got some kind of parental figure. And yeah, I don't think he went there, and I don't think he cried once. I think they like set it back in place and did the cast and everything, and he never even shed a tear.
Funny.
He's just
It
always
scares the
been
crap
that.
out of me thinking about a bone breaking. I've been
Yeah.
so lucky to never break a bone, and just the thought of a bone snapping is just gut wrenching.
Yeah,
to me.
it's gross.
Especially
And
like an arm bone or a leg bone or something. Oh man.
and he
The
and
other
he
time Paul
stepped
was,
off that
I
thing,
broke-
right? Yeah.
I broke the bone in my foot from my ankle
Yeah.
to my pinky toe. It's like that long bone on the side of your foot. And I just kind of like twisted my leg weird, and I was working at the Mesa shop back in the day doing the sign shop thing. And I remember I came home and I told Mom, like, man, I messed up my foot, and I think they were going to church or something. I was like, yeah, I can't go. My foot's messed up. And she totally thought I was just like totally lying to try to get out of going to church or something. And she's like, just get up and go. Don't be a wuss or whatever, or something like that. She's like, either get up and go or go to the hospital. So I remember I drove myself to the hospital, and they're like, oh yeah, you got a broken foot, And I came home, and she felt so bad. She's like, your foot was broken? She's like, and you were walking on it? I go, yeah, that's what the doctors were saying too. They said that they thought that was weird, you know? She's like, you drove yourself to the hospital using your broken foot? I was like, yep. I go, I'm not a wuss.
I think I think you broke it like just stepping off of a curb. You know what I mean? Like, I think it was like literally you just stepped out off a curb and broke it somehow.
I don't even think I was on a curb, to be completely honest with you. I think I just like bent it, like folded my
dude?
my foot, like folded my ankle weird,
Tony.
and it just like popped.
Yeah.
And I
And
drink
it just
milk.
popped?
What the hell?
And I
There you go.
milk.
So he's broken the bones. Yeah, that's where, you know. But yeah, it just sounds disgusting. I agree with you. It's worse than a cut almost, you know, in my opinion, you know.
Oh man, no way.
With the broken foot, they're like, all right, you know, just take it easy. You know, they didn't even, you know, they can't do anything.
I've had a
It's
couple
like,
small
keep it up.
fractures in my hand and in my foot, and that shit was so painful. I couldn't imagine like a full break. I couldn't imagine. And then a big
Yeah.
bone too, like something big in your arm or your leg, or
Yeah.
oh man. I had a buddy in college actually break his femur in half. We were snowboarding.
Wow.
And he came down off a jump. He missed it where he was supposed to land, landed flat, and the impact was so intense that it broke his fucking femur in half. It's like a 20-year-old kid too, you know, strong
Wow.
bones, snapped in half, dude. That he was in so much pain. I'll never forget his face. He was crying. They air vac him out of there. Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. I'm glad I was never that guy.
Yeah.
Dude, that's gnarly.
Yeah, that's why I was always kind of a pussy with those sports. You know, it's like, yeah, I'll go snowboarding slowly behind you guys. You guys can get crazy. I'll smoke
I'm
some
not
weed and
leaving
launch.
the ground, but yeah, I'll go snowboarding. I'm going snowboarding, aka
man.
I'm never gonna leave the snow. It's not
I
called
got a lot of
airboarding.
friends that skate out here, and some of these guys are 40, 50 years old. I mean, they're old school skaters. They've been skating for a long time, but they're still doing it. You know, getting into the bowls, getting into the pipes, riding them. And they'll be at the shop and say, you want to ride my board around? And all I can think is, fuck no. I'm going to take one step on that thing, fall back, and crack my fucking head.
On a
Like,
skateboard?
I don't know. Yeah, man, I don't mess with those things anymore, man.
Huh.
I don't. The last time I actually got on one was in the shop like 3 or 4 years ago, and I tried to jump up a little like 3-inch step. I fell on my fucking ass hard. I got a video of it. I'll send it to you. I got a slow-mo video of it. It's fucking great. But it was just reiterating the fact that I should not be on a skateboard. Too old for that shit.
Yeah, and I'm just afraid by, you know, with what I do, like if I'm not holding a camera, then I've got to sit and edit, you know, and I just, you know, with a broken arm, you couldn't do either one of those, you know.
I'm just a pussy. I don't even care about my work. I just don't want it to hurt me.
Dude, there's nothing like coasting around on like some smooth, flat cement
Yeah,
with
I remember
no
it being
rocks,
fun.
like just coasting.
Yeah.
You know.
Rocks appear, man. Rocks just appear sometimes, you know? I've always kind of been a puss like that. I remember going out for football my freshman year in high school. I got hit one time, and I thought it was the hardest fucking hit in the world. I quit. I was done. I never played football again. I was over it. I hated Pop Warner, though, too. You know, I don't know. I didn't like that shit.
Why
I
did you
loved
play
baseball.
Why did you play football? Did your parents make you play and you kind of weren't into it?
No, it just seemed like fun. You go to school, everybody
Yeah.
wants to play football or something. So I was like, I'll give this a shot. That was stupid. That was a bad idea. You know?
Do you think
Hey,
you were
even
doing it to,
baseball. When
like,
I was a kid,
try
I
to
loved
fit in?
baseball.
Yeah.
Nah, I don't know. Just trying to do something.
Yeah.
Whatever it was. I don't know. I bounced around at schools a lot when I was a kid. You know, so when I showed up to high school, it was like a whole new group of people. I was making friends again in a sense. So I was just trying to do something, I guess. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
I think everything like that. In my youth, I was more into sports, though, too. Baseball, I loved it when I was a kid. And so I started realizing you can get hit by the ball and it can really fuck you up. And then I was done with baseball, too.
So video games were the better. What's
Right.
the show or whatever? Yeah, you've got all your PlayStation games. You can just do those.
I played some
Why
hockey
did-
for
why-
a little bit,
Why
but I got in
did
some
Head
fights.
has Head ever? It looks like he has on here talking about Bjork again. Did he ever tell you, like? Did you know he was like so in love with Bjork like forever, like growing
I
up
don't
and
think he ever
just
talked about it in particular. I know he likes Bjork. I'm a Bjork fan myself. I do
Yeah,
also think
he-
she's super sexy.
he was just in love with Bjork. I mean, you know. And then when CKY came out, what was that? The hyper ballad? Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Yeah,
When
the
they went to
hyper
Iceland
ballad
or
and the
whatever.
CKY when they went to Iceland. Yeah, just perfect song for it. But Yeah, so that's how I kind of became introduced, I think, to Bjork, was probably through Head.
Yeah, man. I was
I
always
probably
into.
got introduced by Head too, to be honest with you.
I was always into like kind of a little bit weirder. I guess like you said a couple podcasts ago, if they didn't get deleted, I've always been into stuff where I guess it is a little bit more feminine. But yeah, you know, I remember having my mom like record a Bjork show on MTV because I was busy one night or something, you know, and I was like, young. I think I was like 12 years old. Who knows what she was thinking? You know what I mean? Like, what is wrong with this kid? But yeah, man, I was barbecuing the other day and I threw on that old, like, the very first Bjork album. And I was like listening to that thing. I was like, man, this shit still holds up, man. This girl is weird as hell, you know? But,
I definitely
man.
do listen to Bjork still sometimes. She's
it's
good,
stuff.
man. Yeah.
Sets the vibes.
I think that you are definitely, Hedrick, the one that made me more comfortable with being more out loud with my guilty pleasures in music. Considering pretty much all your music is what most people would consider their guilty pleasures. But
Yeah, that's the best. If it's a
I
guilty
definitely play
pleasure,
more
that
shit out
means it
loud
is
these days.
good.
And people are like, are you listening to Bjork? Is that MXMS? What the fuck are you listening to? Purity Ring? Really? Yeah, I listen to it. I like it.
That was funny when
It's
Lo and I
okay.
went to the Purity Ring show, and we were like, you know, we walk in, and there was just like groups of lesbians and like some gay guys in the corner, and then like me and Lolo, the wife. Too good, man.
At the Purity Ring?
Yeah, at the Purity
Dude, that
Ring
Purity
shows.
Ring, every time they've came here, I've missed the tickets, you know, and then I jump on one of those ticket places you can get the after tickets on, and dude, for the last time they were here, they played at that little tiny Crescent ballroom play, or Crescent, whatever it's called, downtown.
Crescent
And
Ballroom, yeah.
I mean, they wanted $160 to go see that
That's
band.
crazy.
And I
they're
think the
definitely
tickets
not
were,
worth seeing, man.
I think the tickets were like
Wait.
20. I think it was $22 or something. Was what
I
it was.
wait for the $22 ticket.
So that's why, yeah, I've never seen them live, but I'm like, it's not worth $160.
Yeah, too good. But
'Cause that's-
man, I was listening to that Bjork, and it definitely reminded me of you know, the Dirksons back in the day.
Yeah.
I went to a private Christian school, Tony, up in Fountain Hills.
I remember you talking about that.
And it was Paul was friends with like the son of the pastor at the church, and you know, I always kind of I feel like I kind of grew up a little faster because my brother was cool and you know, 3 or 4 or 8 years older than me. I think he's like 50 or something. But his kind of older friends were always kind of hanging out and really cool, so of course I kind of gravitated towards them naturally. But yeah, man, his one friend Chris, this kid was super weird. My mom cut his hair once. He like had this, I don't even know how you would describe it. So more or less he had like really, really long hair, almost down to his shoulders. But in the back of his hair was like a couple inches or 3 or 4 inches long. From the back to the front was like a big angle, so it like swooped down like very drastically.
Kind of like an
And this
old,
kid-
like an old, you know, when like skateboarding, right? You remember the skateboarding kids that would cut their hair kind of like where they would shave it all the way around, but you'd have that
Yeah.
kind of like hair going down.
Long
Remember
hair
in
on
the
top.
Remember in the '90s, kind of when, you know,
Oh, yeah.
Alva
I
and
think
all
we all
that
had
shit was
haircut.
right. That
like
that's
an
kind of.
exaggerated version.
He kind of had
Sure.
that, but it was a mix. He wasn't going for a skater vibe head. He was going more for like looking like Dracula. Kind of. He was real. He was real gothic. Kind of gothic. Yeah.
Sexy. Whatever.
Yeah. real. You know. And so it was kind of more that haircut meets that. But Head, wasn't he more? He was more your friend, I would say, than he was mine, wasn't he? Because remember how we met him? Remember what was the older sister's name?
Well, his
Of the
younger sister's
Yeah.
name was Joya.
Yes,
And
but what was
that
the
girl
Teresa? Was
in
the
my
older one?
grade. And then
Teresa,
he, I think,
though.
was more closer to your age, but I think
Yeah.
I think I adopted him as a friend a little bit more.
He had
But,
Head. He had an older sister named Teresa that was friends with Kyle
Teresa.
Hildebrand. Yeah, that was friends
Yeah,
with Kyle,
Teresa
and
and
so yeah,
Molly, I think.
yeah, and so they were. That's how I think we kind of met up with it. But yeah, Head became friends, I think, with all my friends. We just all had the same friends. Head growing up, even though he was 4.5 years younger than me, Tony, we just all hung out together. At that age,
awesome. That's cool.
Helped me grow up quick. But man, the one thing I remember about that kid is he loved the Smashing Pumpkins. And I think we liked the Smashing Pumpkins, but this kid loved the Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah.
And I remember the Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness double CD had just come out with the drawing of the girl with the crown on the starship. It was all spacey and stuff. That had just come out, and we all just loved that album. And I think he had just overplayed it, where it's everybody had every song stuck in their head. But I remember they announced, all right, the shows for this tour are announced. We're coming around with the band Garbage. And I remember he was like, oh my God. He goes, we've got to get tickets. He goes, we've got to get some good tickets for that show. So we look it up. This was back in the day where maybe you could call up, you know what I mean, the ticket places. I'm not even sure if you could call them at that time.
you could call them, Head, but you would just get a busy signal.
Yeah.
You would get a busy. That was back when there was busy signals. Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember the one way that you would for sure get tickets to the show is if you were first in line at the box office. And the box office was at Dillard's in the mall. So I remember we camped out at Dillard's, in the Dillard's parking lot, in the parking garage, overnight. I think we got down there around 8 or 10. We got some coffees. I think we brought some booze, and I remember smoking a bunch of clove cigarettes back in the day. Throats all fucking hurting. Can't even talk to order my tickets the next day.
Yeah.
But I totally remember that was the first time I sat outside overnight and just kind of bullshitted and hung out and waited all the way until 10 o'clock the next morning or 8 o'clock the next morning when Dillard's opened up, and we went inside and got a bunch of Smashing Pumpkins tickets. I think we got I can't remember, what was it, got a couple tickets in third row and a couple tickets in 10th row. But man, that was an awesome show. Super cool.
Yeah, it was the only way you could guarantee getting a ticket, because you would never get one through the phone ever. But there'd be times where, there'd be times where people were standing. You could also go to Tower Records, and stand out there because they had a Dillard's thing inside, or a Ticketmaster thing inside. And, but even there, dude, you'd have a line, you'd get there and you think you were getting there early enough, and you'd pull around the corner and the line would be, wrapped around the building, and you'd be like, oh, crap. I told you we should have got there 2 hours early. Everyone starts blaming each other. Or nobody was able to be there. That's the only reason why you were there, and everyone screams at each other. And then even then, you'd be up there and you'd be like, what row did you get? And then the person would say 5th, and then the next person would walk by. What row did you get? And they'd say, 26, and you'd be like, oh crap, only 10 people have gone, and you'd get all nervous. And that was just, that was how we bought concert tickets. Every concert, most of every big concert I saw, that's how we got tickets back in the days,
That's crazy. Now you just get online and refresh right at the 9 o'clock or whatever. And press purchase. How weird.
It is kind of weird. I forgot about going to Dillard's and going to those box offices and buying tickets. It's such a thing of the past, I don't think I ever stayed in line overnight.
And stuff.
Yeah, they had everything. That's where you bought tickets at, Yeah, it's a trip.
The last time I got to see Pumpkins, it was so rad. We got to see them in November. I think it was November or October last year, right before all this crap happened. And it was great because when they first announced their little reunion tour, right, and everybody was going to be back except Darcy, I think, right, is the bass player. And, everybody was just oh, my gosh, we got to go. And so I think Portland was one of the first places. And so, Kyle was like, we got tickets, I talked Lisa into coming with me, and, we paid just the craziest amount of money for these because we said, we'll never see them again. They're never coming, right? And dude, I mean, I don't even know what he paid, but I think it was $300 plus per ticket, to make sure he got a seat,
right.
closed, something crazy.
You wanted
And
the
then
experience.
and then like that tour ended in like the summer, and then all of a sudden I get this email. And you know how you get those emails sometimes and you think maybe this is some spam thing? It said Mesa Amphitheater, it said Smashing Pumpkins. And I'm like, what in the world? I'm like, oh, at Mesa Amp, they're not even doing it. And they went ahead and did another tour after that big arena tour at all these small places, and my ticket was $40 at Mesa Amp, dude. And we stood, I mean, at Mesa Amp, we just got there an hour early and got to stand down there, maybe, 50 feet at the most from the stage, outside,
That's cool.
in Arizona in October. It was beautiful. And it was just, for $40, I took a picture for Kyle and rubbed it in. But, dude, they
I feel
still
like
put on a good show.
All shows these days are expensive, man.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe it's just out here in Hawaii because nobody comes out here. But every time somebody comes out here, I mean, it's $100, $150 for a ticket to see anybody.
Wow.
I mean, really. And if
like
not
the
more, if you want
actual-
something.
The actual
Yeah, like
price?
Primus was coming out here recently, and I think the tickets were like $110 each. We went and saw Cheech and Chong. Cheech and Chong were like $220 each. Like, it's fucking, and that wasn't even like an awesome seat. It was like an okay seat,
Huh.
Yeah, and
it's a
that
trip.
unfortunately that kind of has that nostalgia type nonsense
true.
to it. You know what I mean?
They definitely, Cheech and Chong are smart, man. They were definitely milking it for whatever they fucking
Oh,
could.
I would.
They
Yeah.
even did like a meet and greet afterwards. So if you wanted to pay like an extra $300, you can come through and do
yeah.
a meet and greet, and then buy some shit for them to sign. And I was like, man,
Yeah.
smart old fuckers, man.
Yeah. They're gonna do it. They're gonna do it.
They're probably getting pretty old.
Oh, they're so fucking old, man. Those guys have got to be in their late
I didn't even
60s,
think about that.
70s.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, it's a trip. I don't think the ticket prices are going to get any cheaper for any shows, though. I mean, think about what's going to happen in the future as far as trying to have any venues open up for shows again.
So
It's not gonna
there
be easy.
that goes back to your COVID shot vaccine thing, right? Where you can't go to a concert without a proof of vaccination.
Can't go to the show without a vaccine. It's part of
Head'll
buying
be
a
down
ticket.
there
Come
immediately.
up
He'll
with
be
your
like,
shot notice, bitch.
as soon as like Hail the Sun or like somebody cruises into San Diego, he'll be down there getting that vaccination immediately. He'll be like, I'm not missing these dudes.
Oh, it's
Like I said,
crazy,
man, I'll probably just get it. I'm not that worried, but I know a lot of
Yeah.
people that are worried, and I do understand. Like,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I understand the idea of it. Like, they're not crazy. Like, it definitely is
I
weird, but-
I just say let's just see if it ever happens first. Let's get there, right, and see if it's even
Right.
available, and see, I mean, they say the distribution of it, all that, so I just say let's just get there.
Well, they
why
can
does
just
why
wrap it all up into one thing? Give you the code vaccination, your microchip, and your barcode tattoo all at the same time, and just get it over with.
had to not get back on COVID, but to go back to the Dirksons. Didn't Katy Perry go to school there or something? Or
Yeah, Katie Hudson. So
yeah.
So it all kind of started. I hit a girl in the face during PE, and it was this really cute girl. She was probably the cutest girl in the whole high school. But once again, we're talking. Paul, you know what we're talking about
Yeah.
when I say
Yeah,
the
yeah.
whole high school. We're talking like out of the 22 kids that are there, half of which are boys. So it's like, yes, out of the 10 to 12 girls, she was the cutest. I can't remember what we were doing, playing kickball or something. I remember kicking this ball and it hitting this girl in the face so hard that she like put her hands over her face, and when she looked up, her whole side of her face was all red. But yeah, she was that girl was best friends with this girl named Angela, and we ended up being really good friends. After I kicked her in the face with a ball.
Yeah.
But yeah, her friend was Angela Hudson, who is Katie Hudson's sister. And at the school, throughout the day, she'd be like, "Oh, that's my sister singing in there." There'd be like a girl going over and singing songs, like
Yeah.
in the church alone, with like one person going over stuff and rehearsing stuff. And I guess she was homeschooled at the time, so she wasn't actually at the school, but she was just kind of around. But yeah, that's that's when I ended up hanging out hanging out with them, hanging out with those two sisters, and I never really got in touch or kept in touch. But
Yeah.
that Katie girl, she was always singing, always doing her thing. You know, it was silly at first, and it wasn't all that great, but you know, good for that girl. She killed it.
Yeah. Definitely. That's
Making
that's
money.
such a small world, you know, especially those little Christian schools and stuff. I mean, you sometimes have like 40 people in the whole school, you know. So to have one of
and
them.
it was kind of crazy to be like the first single and the first time that I saw her after that was the I Kissed a Girl single.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Apple TV Foundation. What do you know about this show?
Foundation. I don't know anything about Foundation. I don't even know if I've heard of it.
It's supposed to be some new sci-fi show that's they're saying is like comparable to the story of Star Wars, that has always been like everybody's been scared to try to make it into a movie. It's like a series of books or something. But the books were written by a guy named Isaac Asimov. But yeah, it's produced by Apple TV. They started pre-production in 2020, and then it's got stopped because of COVID. But man, it looks pretty. It might be like right up your boys'
Oh, okay.
alley.
So it's a show that's not out yet.
Yeah,
I've seen the trailer of it. It just has a trailer, right?
Correct, and they're like in a weird.
Yes.
Like,
Now I know
like
what you're talking about. Yeah.
A weird sea with weird skylines. It's very like spacey and.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it looked cool. I didn't know anything about the backstory that you just said. I didn't know they were books. I didn't know anybody had said anything compared to Star Wars. I didn't know any of that stuff. So that's cool.
Yeah, I think they're basing it kind of like. I guess they're saying like that's the one comparable story. But I guess if you're saying that, like, you better come with it. You know, if you're saying you have some shit like Star Wars, you know. But we'll see. You know.
Yeah, and there's just nothing will ever be like Star Wars because the phenomenon just doesn't exist anymore. You know, people don't wrap around the movie theaters anymore. You know, people just like chilling on their couch and with these big giant TVs, right, Tony? We have like 88. So Sony or one of these companies, dudes, they just released an 88-inch 8K television.
That's right.
That'd be killer, right?
That's cool, but I like those tile things that I've been seeing on social media better. I don't think it has as high of resolution, but it's I believe it's more like the screens that you see at the football fields. Each piece is a different tile, and then once the tile's pressed in, it illuminates and shows the picture. But they have those where you can do them in any size and weird shapes. And they have some cool stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it's so weird though.
I
Have
never
you been,
had a good TV, man. They have all
you
those
never
fancy
have had
TVs
one?
these days, but my stuff's always the bare minimum, cheapest they kind of can, the size that I need. It usually ends up sucking in.
I don't have anything. Dude, I bought mine at Costco. It was it was maybe $1,000 at the most. You know what I mean? I just got a big giant one, and you know, I don't. The kids touch it all the time.
Stuff, though, too. You got like Apple TV, you got Disney TV, you got HBO TV, you got fucking
Netflix, all that's just an app. I mean, that's just
I'll send you my passwords.
those are just the apps. But do you guys watch Head? Are you kind of finding yourself liking the Apple TV stuff? Because they were saying that Apple TV, they said the new original stuff is really making a pretty good splash this year. You know, as far as For All Mankind, you've got, what's that Lasso one you loved?
Yeah, the Ted Lasso.
Right?
Man, they have a lot of good stuff, but the only problem is the way people watch stuff these days. I can watch a whole season of that in one day, and then it's over with, and then I'm still paying for the whole rest of the month, the whole $6.99 for the other 28 days that I'm watching Hulu shows or watching reruns of Roseanne. You know what I mean? Or just ridiculous reruns of Law and Order.
Yeah, but dude, we live in it. Yeah,
it's like
Law and Order.
I think that's where it gets tough. Is, you know, I think with most of these subscription things, you could honestly, if you live the lifestyle I live, or you watch a lot of TV, you know, you could probably get a month of these subscriptions and watch everything on there, and then just cancel the subscription. You know, and go get. You know, and be like, all right, well, I'm going to get Showtime now for 1 month for $20, and then watch all the Showtime series in 1 month, and then cancel it. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
you just, I'm getting to the point where I do understand where it's like, there's gonna need to be some kind of packaging deal eventually, where it's like you can get some regular channels where you can watch your bullshit teen mom stuff that I watch with my wife. You can watch, you know, you have movie channels where it's not edited movies like on TV. You know, it's like you're gonna have to get something all together and group it.
Well, they have that. It's called DirecTV or Cox or whatever.
But if they want to,
they have that already.
I'm just saying if they want to do it, you know, internet based. I guess it's still.
Well, I think they make it cheap enough to where people don't mind having 15 different things. It's like $6 for this, $7 for that. But then before you know it, again, it's like you have 6 different things. But now it's like, oh, well, they have a Hulu Plus for an extra $3 a month. But now you want to have the stars on that too, and it's just like cable though too. Back in the day, you know, basic cable was only $20. By the time you have all the Cinemax, Stars, and HBOs, you're like $120.
I have to watch.
Today is just about original content, meaning Game of Thrones is only on HBO, right? So if you want to watch Game of Thrones, you pay for HBO. That's it. That's the name of the game today, you know.
I'm pretty sure
Mandalorian is only on Disney Plus. You know what I mean? So.
Oh, and I did find myself buying a couple things to buy shit. Honestly, it was actually movies you fuckers were talking about in the beginning of all this stuff. I'm like, oh, what are they talking about? I want to see this movie, this Michael Jackson movie they're talking about. So the next thing I'm buying fucking HBO Plus. And then after I watch that and 2 other things, I'm like, fuck, HBO Plus sucks. I hate this. Cancel.
Well, that is the cool thing about it. I mean, that's what's kind of cool is you can just go month by month, right? Like watch whatever you can watch for a couple months and then turn it off, dude. I mean, dude, they're not even 20. I mean, Apple, you got to think, dude, that Apple thing is only $5.99.
Right.
That's all they charge.
I think it's like
none of them are that bad, really.
Is it $6.99? It's like $6 or something. I mean, dude, you know, you can't beat that. You know, turn it on for 2 or 3 months, pay your $30, and then turn it off when you're done watching all the Big Bang Theory or whatever you're. What was it? What did you say Head used to watch? Was the Wonder Years?
Oh man, the Wonder Years. I watched that at the Xavier Towers with Tony. I annoyed the shit out of him.
I still to this day hear that song and I think about Hedrick laughing on the couch out in the living room.
Head was kind of like a young, like a Fred Savage when he was younger, like a young
Maybe
Fred.
That's why he
Savage.
loved it so much, you know. He related with it. He was like, Fred, you my man.
When I lived with Tony, I was more like a hey, I love you, man, kind of friend, where I'm like the guy sleeping on the couch. Where like the guy's girlfriend's like, hey man, how long's this guy gonna be here? You know, oh man, I can't believe that's my buddy.
No, in our house they'll be like, how long is Hedrick gonna be here? I don't know, a little while. All right, I'm gonna go hang out with them and watch some Wonder Years.
Too good, man, too good.
And you rewatched all the Roseannes? You mean like from beginning to end?
Yeah, well, so once again, I mean, to get back on it, so I have this program called Philo, and it's pretty cool. It's basically gives you a bunch of like basic cable stations, and it's I think it's like $10 a month, or maybe $14.99 a month. But what it does have is it has live TV for those stations, and then it also has an unlimited DVR. So basically, my main thing is where it all started. I wanted to watch all the Law and Orders, and I like the old Law and Orders. Like the old original Law and Orders where they actually used to go to the court and like, you know, there's the TV show was like used in college classes because of the different like tactics that they used and stuff. I don't know. I wanted to watch all of them. So there's 20 seasons. So I started looking up online.
Oh my God.
I started looking up online and I'm like, man, what does this box set run? And it's like $400 or $500. You know what I mean? For this like used box set of DVDs, which are probably all scratched. And then I don't even have a DVD player. So I'd have to buy a fucking DVD player, which is, you know, I don't even know how much, $10, $20 now at a pawn shop. But I go, all right, well, instead of that, I go, they've rerun those Law & Order episodes over and over and over. I go, I'm just going to get this service where I have Law & Order stations, and I'm just going to DVR all of them. So I set my DVR to record all of the episodes. More or less, I am currently caught up where I have watched 5 through 20 seasons. Season 5 through 20 and season 2.
Wow.
I'm still waiting for like the first and then the third through fourth. But yeah, Roseanne, same thing. I'm like 7 seasons done. I got like 2 seasons left, but I'm just waiting for them to come on. But it's cheaper
funny
than
the silly shit we can get hooked on.
Yeah. but it's cheaper than buying the box set, you know. But
Right.
I don't know where it started. I think it was with Timo back in the day. We were like, you know, it was like Halloween would come around and he'd be like, "Hey man, have you seen all the Jason movies? You know, whatever it is." And I'd be like, "No, I mean, I think I've seen a lot of them, but I think I'd like tapped out when he went to space and stuff, you know." And, and he'd be like, "Hey, let's watch all of them," you know. So we'd buy like all of them and sit down and watch them, like get fucked up and like hang out, watch all the Jason movies. But yeah, I think that's where it started. I've been rewatching all of everything. I watched all the Gilligan's Islands, all the Dick Van Dykes, like any kind of old weird show that like you would never imagine. I've seen all of it straight through with Lolo sitting there on her phone.
Tony, so what he's trying to tell us is that he does stuff to, you know, just to the 100th degree, like, to, you know, he just overdoes everything, right? Like he can't just watch a few Law and Orders. He's got to watch all 20 seasons in a night, right?
Oh yeah.
That's his.
Paul, do you want me
That's
to
kind of how he rolls it.
Do you want me to tell you who didn't overdo when it came to filmmaking? The guy that did A Star Is Born. Oh my God, man! I was so pumped up for that movie with Gaga and what's his name and his directorial.
Well, with
debut.
Bradley.
Man, I was just like, is something gonna happen? Like, is it ever gonna go anywhere?
No, that's it. That's the movie. It's been remade so many times. That's it. That's the movie. It's a love story.
I don't know
that's
if I
it.
like her.
Yeah,
all that, I don't
what,
know if
Gaga?
I like her. I mean, she's talented, but I just personally, I don't know if my taste cares for her. She's hot, though.
Jess loves that Star Is Born. Just whenever that song plays, you know, and they look at each other and sing into each other's eyes. You know what I'm saying? Girls love that stuff.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
Oh, you gotta watch it, Tony. It's really good.
Yeah, it
It's on
sounds like
Apple
it.
Yeah,
Plus.
you
It's
sold
only
me
sit
on
down.
that.
It's a good.
$6.99
Yeah.
Get Apple
You sit
Plus,
down. You sit down and sit down and cuddle up, and you know, it's a good movie, a good dual, you know, watching movie together. You know, if you need something to watch.
Your girl Tots will be asleep in like 5 minutes.
I'm a season guy, kind of like Hedrick. Tots hates it because she hates watching seasons of stuff. But I just binge watch shit, you know? I watch as many seasons or episodes as I can of stuff. I'm on Survivor lately. I don't know what it is about that
Yeah.
stupid fucking show.
Survivor is good.
I like that stupid
haven't
fucking
watched
show.
any of them.
It's fun.
Oh,
it's
great.
fun,
There's like
Head.
40 seasons of it, man.
Oh.
Get
Yeah.
to watching.
There you go. I'm gonna be busy.
They do two seasons a year, Head. So like you got to think I think it's been on 20 years. So I think Tony's right, or it's been on like 15 years or
Yeah,
something.
it's been on a long fucking time, man. Binge watch, Head.
They
I'm
got
trying
it.
to get on the show. It's great.
I'll
And
catch
you'll
up to you. I'll
Head,
pass
what?
you.
Head, what? You were mentioning something about the Encino Man Part 2 or something. They're gonna do another one.
I saw that
Really?
online. I think it was Pauly Shore was saying, like get what is his name, Brendan Fraser.
Trying to get it,
Yeah.
trying to like
Brendan
get everybody
Fraser
on board.
Let's do Encino Man 2 or something. Like that
Yeah.
would be. I think he said what is the white kid's name, the dorky white kid.
Brendan Fraser. You're saying?
No,
Is that what
he's-
you're talking
No,
about?
I
Oh
know
no,
you're
you're
talking
you're talking about is it Seth, whatever his name is from the Lord of the Rings?
I
What's
think
his
he was
name?
even
Seth,
saying
yeah.
like he
Yeah,
was
yeah.
in too. So it was just up to Brendan Fraser, but like they both wanted to do it, which I think would be really funny. But of course it'll probably suck, just like all the other reboots
Dude,
or whatever. Which
the Bill and Ted's movie is horrible. It's
Oh, I didn't
like
even watch it.
unwatchable. It's unwatchable.
I didn't even try. I knew it.
It's unwatchable, and so that would be the only thing is it won't be any good. But and as you can see, Brendan Fraser, the guy that actually probably has more going on than the other two guys, is the one that they're trying to get to do it, right? Of course they'll do it, right? I mean, what was Pauly Shore in last, right?
Please,
I don't think Brendan Fraser's really got anything going on either, does he?
Dude, Brendan Fraser, though, is kind of known as still to this day as one of those, right, where he would do a cameo or something cheesy like that,
Right.
where Pauly Shore is like, like he's probably trying to get in touch with Andy Dick to do in the Army now or whatever it's called.
I
Part
think it's
two.
kind of
that show. I love
It's
that.
kind of a thing lately, though, too. It's even like that. What was that series that came out recently? Cobra Kai. It was like a
Yeah.
Karate Kid
man.
takeoff
Yeah,
thing. All
Karate Kid.
It was fucking horrible.
Dude,
the whole
we-
show,
we like
both
it.
seasons were
We like
fucking
it.
We like
horrible.
it. We watch it
But
all, Tony. Well, I don't know if I love it or
because I
anything.
love the Karate Kid.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's the
yeah.
If you watch
nostalgia
the Cobra
factor.
Kai,
Yeah.
it was horribly made. It's horribly acted.
Oh, yeah.
Everything about it is fucking
I think
horrible.
it's supposed to be, though, right?
I love it because it was the Karate Kid, and I love the Karate Kid.
Yeah.
And I think that some of those movies are kind of like that. If you liked Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure back in the day,
Enough.
you might
Yeah.
like the stupid movie today. If they redid an Encino Man, I'd probably go see it and probably
Right.
like it, even though it's
Oh, we'd
horribly
all
made.
watch it.
But-
We'd all watch it. That's the problem.
I've
We'd
already
all- we'd
admitted
all
I
watch it.
like that remake of the Point Break, and it's
Yeah.
Oh,
it's
yeah?
terrible.
I haven't
But
had a
like
chance
it
to
just
see
that.
because,
Yeah.
It's a nostalgia behind it, though. It takes you back to movies that you used to watch. And that stupid Cobra Kai, man, I loved it. Tots, my girl, was just sitting there like, "What the fuck are you watching?" I'm like, "You don't get it. You don't get
You
it,
don't
man."
get it.
I think, and I think that was the whole goal, is to not take themselves serious, right? Because how do you do it and make something serious?
I don't know, man. I think they might.
I
just
think
be
it's
that
supposed to be
bad
kind of
actors.
slapstick. Well, dude, I just think it's everybody is. I think it's that almost like. I kind of feel like the production is almost that old kind of sitcom, style back in the, where everybody
I
like
went back and watched
overacted.
The Karate Kid 1 through 3.
You
And
know?
they were fucking horrible too. I mean, they
You know
were
how
just
when,
as weird
when
kids.
people like used to remember how what was on head was the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I was watching something where they were
reunion?
remembering the dad. The dad had passed away.
Yeah, the reunion, I think,
From
was
Fresh
on it
Prince of
too.
Bel-Air. And I just remember those old sitcom shows, Tony, and you're right, those people, they would like overact. Like, I don't even know if they were bad actors, but they must have told them to overact, like overdo everything, right? Every time you say the most simplest phrase, like even
Right.
in that Cobra Kai, there'd be some things where that Ralph Macchio would be talking to the wife, and I'm like, this can't even really be his
It's
wife,
so bad.
right? It's so. I'm like, this is ridiculous,
It's so
But
bad. I love it.
My wife loves that. I saw first a couple episodes, and dude, she loves all that kind of cheesy stuff, And I'm like, this is right up your alley. And so she started watching it, and she was so addicted to it. I mean, way more than I was. And then I'm like, you've got to tell Lolo to watch this because she watches all those like 16 and pregnants and and all that. I'm like, this might be right up her alley. You know what I mean? Because it's so silly and high schoolish. Does Lolo like that kind of stuff? Head like that kind of high school?
Oh,
Girl fights.
Definitely. We
Yeah.
watch all that kind of stuff. But what
Yeah,
she
you
really
like that
doesn't like
Mean Girls.
that I just figured out, Paul, was the Doobie Brothers. Lolo,
Oh yeah.
my wife, hates the Doobie Brothers.
Why?
I just, Tony, get HBO Plus or whatever, Max, or steal someone's passwords. They had the induction into the Hall of Fame just recently on there.
Yeah, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
The Rock
yeah.
and Roll Hall of Fame. And the reason I watched was because I saw that Trent Reznor was being inducted. And I was like, shit, I got to watch my dog. I got to watch him, see what's going on. But, man, the Doobie Brothers was right before him. And I could not stop watching that. And just earlier, my buddy Blaze was playing Doobie Brothers. And, but, man, every Doobie Brothers song, I remember, like, all of them. All of them. So it's like I can listen to 20 Doobie Brothers songs and like sing the lyrics. Some of them I remember from youth group, which I think is really weird. The Jesus
That
is
is weird.
Just All Right With Me song. Why were they
Yeah.
playing the Doobie Brothers in youth group? Like, that is weird. But, man, Lolo hates it. So, Of course. As
Well,
soon
you remember that because DC Talk did a cover of it. That's why.
Okay. But I
That's probably. I think that's probably why. But yeah, dude, you know me. That's all I listen to.
Yeah.
Still to this
that's
day,
awesome.
it's Creedence and Doobie Brothers, and I mean those are the bands I still listen to today.
Yeah. I put that listen to the music on. I've put it on like 10 to 20 times. Sometimes I'll just walk into the house with it playing on my phone, and she'll just be so mad and upset. It's awesome. Fucking Doobie Brothers. But man, the Nine Inch Nails induction,
Dude,
that was awesome.
That's what I was gonna say, Tony. If Head gives you some passwords, the packages because the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame usually they do it where there's a huge crowd and they have someone come up and induct them, right? So who did
That's cool.
Trent?
who inducted Nine Inch Nails?
Iggy Pop.
Oh yeah, Iggy Pop. That's right. Oh yeah, he did a good job too. They had him like standing out in like a neighborhood or somewhere. Didn't they?
Yeah, like
Wasn't he
out on
like
a
standing
neighborhood
outside?
street or something.
And Tony, Iggy Pop, you know how he's still just all ripped and coked out looking, right? You know what I mean? And he has his shirt, his
Skins all hanging
jacket.
off him and shit.
He has
Yeah.
the leather jacket but no shirt underneath, right? You know? And his skin just looks like a leathered pig that's like been
yeah.
out in like a farm all day, you know what I mean? And dude, he still looks badass. And he did the package for Nine Inch Nails, and they just showed some awesome like old photos of Trent, and he talked about him and stuff. Is really killer. It was really good.
Paul, what about how they actually did the actual talking with Trent Reznor? How they had like the interview, but they played like some of like the instrumental Nine Inch Nails stuff, where it was like, and they had like the sounds going with like the sounds of the phone picking up and stuff.
Yeah, it was good. The
Just the
HBO always
production on it.
HBO's production. Yeah.
It was very Nine Inch
It's
Nails
always-
quality. That's all I'm gonna say. Like very high end and like creepy and I don't know.
Nine Inch Nails, in a sense, I mean, it really is just Trent Reznor, though.
For sure. And
Yeah.
When he did his
Yeah.
thanks, he started going through like, these are the guys I'd like to thank that are in the band right now, and then he did like a list of
Right.
all the other people in the band,
Previous artists,
and it
yeah.
was like 15 people or something, like Iggy Ramirez from Marilyn Manson.
It's a trip. It's just
Josh
stuff. It's just
Freese
evolved
from
so
A Perfect
much in
Circle
different
and
directions.
Devo.
There's some stuff from Nine Inch Nails that I love, and there's a couple other things that I listen to, and I like it, but it almost takes like gotta be in a certain mood,
Yeah.
I guess, because some of
For
it is just
sure.
more noises and sound effects than almost anything else. And if you're just sitting there listening to it, trying to whatever it may be, the opposite of what that music is, it can be hard to listen to sometimes.
For sure.
But
Yeah.
he had that new album that came out that he put out for free on Spotify, I want to say, when the whole quarantine thing went into effect. And I listened to a little bit of it, and actually I was sitting at a beach one day listening to it, and it was really fucking good. Another time I was trying to listen to it working on my car. It didn't work. It just didn't work.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It was just like it didn't work.
I need to focus. This is just noises. It's too good.
Yeah, trippy dude, that Trent Reznor, man. Trippy dude.
Fuck Trent Reznor. Fuck Nine Inch Nails.
Fuck everything, man. Fuck it all.
You are deliberately forgetting who you really are. You are deliberately forgetting who you really are. You are deliberately